first finals on tap to start tomorrow, but will this be his last stint in Phoenix if they win it all? And little baseball, Brett Phillips just having himself some fun on the mound. And when I say fun, I mean a blast. And with that, we say good Monday morning. Welcome to First Things First on this extended 4th of July holiday. Jenna Wolf, Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wilds. Wilds, can this guy just pitch every game for Tampa? Wouldn't that be great?
Well, we're petitioning the league. We hope that's what's gonna happen. We hope to hear by the end of the show, Jenna. So we'll keep you updated. Stay tuned, everyone.
We'll hear from the Rays just a bit. We'll hear from Kevin Wilds. But we got to start in the NBA, where the finals are officially set. So it'll be the Phoenix Suns and it'll be the Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks taking care of business Saturday, closing out the Hawks in Game 6. They did it without Giannis for the last two games, which meant everyone else had to step up. And on Saturday, everyone else consisted of Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, who both combined for 59 points. So as for Giannis, Coach Bud says he's day-to-day with the knee, so the old wait-and-see approach. So here we go. Bucks and Suns, Game 1 tomorrow night. How do these two teams match up? Well, Phoenix won both regular season games. Giannis averaged 40 against the Suns, and these were the top two defensive teams this postseason. So I would say, how do they match up? Pretty well. Nick, can the Bucks afford for Giannis to miss any games in the NBA Finals versus the Suns?
Yes, the Bucks can survive Giannis missing one game. They can survive Giannis missing two games, because the first two games are in Phoenix, and Phoenix, even if Giannis were healthy, would be favored to win each of those games. And in fact, we might as well start the week off. We finally have our finals matchup. I'll give you my pick. If Giannis is back by Game 3, the Bucks will win the title. The Bucks need Giannis. They can survive falling down 0-2 because the first two games are in Phoenix. But the Bucks, not just this year, but over the last 3 years, have been building to this moment. And what we did see the last couple of games without Giannis is the complementary pieces stepped up in a pinch. But that does not mean you can expect them to do that against an outstanding Suns team over the course of a 7-game series. But this year, Brandon, for all its injuries, for all its upheaval, the one part of this year that could make it make sense is if the two-time MVP, right around the time everyone, after that Game 5 against KD and your beloved Nets, were ready to say, okay, Giannis, great player, but not great enough. If that was the fork in the road moment for him that then propelled him to champion and arguably, and we could argue about it at some point, the best player in the league. He obviously has to come back to accomplish that. If he does come back by that first game in Milwaukee, I believe the Bucks will win the title. So yes, they can survive a game or two without it.
But Nick, what Giannis are you going to actually get back? You know, I always talk about books. I got Relentless right here by Tim Grover. Tim Grover, you know, trained Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant at times, Dwayne Wade, and so many other guys on this roster, and he continues to train guys today. There's one story in that book where he talks about, you know, D. Wade not being able to go, and that how he didn't try to go in there and get him back to where he was, but tried to get him to work in compensation, meaning like if this knee is jacked up, we got to lean on the other side of your game. And that is the problem with Giannis, is that Giannis can come back, but that knee is not going to be 100%. It probably won't even be 90%. So what does he do well? He dribbles, he penetrates to the hole, he does a little spin move, he get in the paint, and he's unstoppable. You're not going to be able to do that now. So now, that three-pointer, you got to be able to hit that shot. You got to be efficient from the free throw line. And I just don't see that happening. So they don't have a chance if Giannis doesn't get back. And if Giannis isn't capable of being able to dribble, penetrate, get into the paint, and do that little shot that he does. I mean, once he get in there, he's unstoppable. But while I'm just afraid that we're not going to see effective, efficient Giannis come the finals.
I totally agree with you, Brandon. And to the point where I think the Bucks should basically take a page out of the Jazz playbook and be like, I don't care if you want to play. Donovan Mitchell, we're not letting you play game one. And Mitchell was heated, but they were like, nah, we're just not going to do it. We're going to roll our dice. They ended up losing. Donovan Mitchell came back, and they won 6 straight until Quinn Snyder forgot how to coach, and they ended up losing. But, Nick, here's the point. Throughout these playoffs, we've seen guys, well, it's true. We've seen guys try to, like, force the issue, and it hasn't worked. AD's like, oh, AD's going to come back. Whoa, my God, this is the spark they need. And then he had 0 points. It was kind of limping around like, what are we doing here? Get him out of the game. And we had, oh, here comes James Harden, the spark we need. Nah, he had 5 points. He missed all of his threes. Ended up winning, but that's because Durant was there to carry them. Then Trey Young, we just saw. Oh, let's have Trey Young come back. Maybe this is what they need. And he was largely ineffective. He also missed all his threes. So I think Donovan Mitchell is the way to go, because here's why we learned from the Bucks in the last 2 games. We know how to play with Giannis. We know how to play without Giannis. We don't know necessarily how to play with like a kind of Giannis. I think that does more harm than good. I think it's either to go with a great Giannis or he's out. But trying to play in the middle ground, I think, is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, unless the only way to get great Giannis is to have him play a game at not a warm-up game, but a game to get himself back in the flow, back in rhythm. Like if the Hawks would have been able to force a game 7, I think we would have seen a far better Trey Young. Reggie Miller, and I'm not one to say this very often, but Reggie made a really good point during the broadcast where he was talking about Trey's timing being off. And it did seem like he wasn't fully in the flow of things. And so I do think the first game back with Giannis, you're not going to get 100% Giannis. But Brandon, this is where I want, and by the way, Giannis could miss the whole series. And if he misses the whole series, it's a huge bummer. It'll be a Chris Paul coronation and good for Chris Paul, but under these circumstances, it would kind of suck. But I want to lean on you for something here, Brandon, because Wildes mentioned AD and Harden. Those soft tissue injuries, I feel like, are in one category where it's like, I can't go 100%. I could re-aggravate it. I could re-strain it. We saw Harden do it multiple times, right? With a hyperextended knee, to me, in my head, that's a different category. You're not like concerned about hyperextending it again. So is it a pain thing? Is it an explosiveness thing? Because we haven't seen this injury, a guy try to play through it in these playoffs. You've suffered the injury. So what will Giannis be feeling? How will it affect him if he is able to get on the court?
Yeah, I did this, 2017, 2017 with the New York Jets playing against the Buffalo Bills opening night, Sunday Night Football, and it was brutal. It's a everything thing, Nick. That's what it is. I wasn't able to move side to side until week 10. You'll be able to move forward. You'll be able to stop, start, go, do all of that stuff, but you're not able to actually do that little spin move that we just saw him do. Elevate and tweak his body in the air and being able to finish at the rim. You're not going to be able to see that. He's going to be very sensitive. He's going to be out there, and he's going to be leaning on the shot. And unfortunately, he doesn't have a shot that he can lean on. And we're also talking about, Nick, Jenna, we're talking about the Bucks and the Suns. Like, the Suns are some slaps. Like, with Giannis, a healthy Giannis, this is still a series. So let's not get it twisted. Come on, they got the point guard over there. Chris Paul makes everyone better. Their number 2 guy, D-Book, is better than the Bucks' number 2 guy in Middleton. And then obviously the defense that Jenna talked about in the opening, their defense has been stellar, not only in the playoffs, but all year. So let's not talk about the Suns like they're just some guys. Like, these are some real dudes that can get it done. All right, cool.
Brendan Marshall says the Suns are not slaps. But speaking of them, we'll dive more into Chris Paul's future and how the finals will factor into that. But what are we watching? Let's talk some Luka. Slovenia.